Welcome back to my vlog again. So tonight I want to talking about something that many people experience quietly as they grow older. That the fear of growing up. Honestly, when people are children, they usually cannot wait to become adults. They want freedom, money, independence, bigger life. But once growing up actually begins, many people realize adulthood is much more complicated than they imagine. And honestly, that realizations can feel scary sometimes. One thing I just realized is that growing up means uncertainty. As children, life often feels more stricter. School, family, daily routines. But adulthood introduces endless questions. What career should I choose? What if I fail? What if my future doesn't go as planned? And honestly, uncertainty creates anxiety for many people. Another thing about growing is responsibility. As people become older, responsibilities slowly increase. Academic pressure, financial pressure, family expectations, and life decisions. And honestly, carrying responsibilities constantly can feel mentally exhausting. I also think one scary thing about adulthood is realizing nobody fully has life figured out. When people are younger, adults seem confident and certain. But later, many people just realize even adults are still confused sometimes, still learning, still struggling, still making mistakes. And honestly, that realization feels both comforting and terrifying at the same time. Another thing I notice is that time feels faster while growing up. Childhood feels long, but adulthood feels quick somehow. Weeks disappear suddenly, months pass unexpectedly, and years just move quietly. And honestly, many people become afraid of wasting time because life feels increasingly fast. But I also realized that growing up means losing certain things slowly. Childhood innocence, old friendship, free time, simple happiness, and honestly, change can feel emotionally painful even when it is natural. Another thing about growing up is a pressure to success. People constantly compare timelines. Who graduated first? Who got a job first? Who becomes successful faster? And honestly, comparison creates emotional pressure that makes people feel left behind sometimes. I also think social media makes adulthood feel even more overwhelming. People constantly see others achieving things online, traveling, getting jobs, building relationships, reaching goals, and honestly, seeing everyone's best moment every day can make people feel like they're failing even when they're not. Another thing I realize is that adulthood often feels lonelier than expected. As a children, friendship happen naturally, but growing older changes relationship. People become busy, move away, change priorities, and honestly, maintaining deep connections become harder over time. I also noticed that many people secretly fear failure while growing up. Fear of disappointing family, fear of choosing the wrong path, fear of becoming unsuccessful, and honestly, those fears can become emotionally heavy, especially when people feel pressure to have everything figured out quickly. And then another thing about the growing up is realizing life is not always fair. Hardworking people still struggle sometimes. Good people still experience pain, still fail unexpectedly. And honestly, reality can feel disappointing compared to childhood expectations. I also realized that adulthood requires emotional strength. People were never fully taught handling rejection, handling heartbreak, and handling uncertainty, handling pressure silently. And honestly, many people are emotionally overwhelmed while pretending to be okay externally. Another thing I learned is that growing up changed relationship with the parents too. At some point, people stopped seeing parents as a superhumans. They began noticing their parents' exhaustion, sacrifice, fears, aging, and honestly, realizing parents are human too feels emotional. I also think adulthood creates pressure to constantly move forward, study harder, work harder, earn more, achieve more, and honestly, many people feel guilty for resting because society prizes non-stop productivity. Another thing I noticed is that growing up means making difficult choices. Sometimes people must choose between comfort and opportunity, between passion and stability. And honestly, life decisions becomes heavier because consequence becomes more real. I also realize that many people miss childhood not because life gonna be perfect. Oh shit. But because life felt emotionally simple. Back then, happiness came easier, small things feel exciting, and honestly, Adulthood often makes people overthink everything more deeply. Another thing about growing up is identity. As the people mature, they begin questioning themselves more, like who am I really? What kind of the life do I want? And what truly makes me happy? And honestly, self-discovery can feel confusing before it feels meaningful. I also think many people underestimate emotional exhaustion during adulthood. People are expected to continue functioning even when mentally overwhelmed. And honestly, surviving daily life while emotionally tired becomes difficult sometimes. Another thing I realize is that adulthood teaches independence very quickly. At some point, people must solve their own problems, handle responsibilities alone, and make decisions alone. And honestly, independence feels empowering sometimes. But yeah, also lonely. I also noticed that many people fear growing older because they feel regret about wasted time, missed opportunities, achieved dreams, and honestly, regret can become emotionally haunting if people constantly compare themselves to unrealistic expectations. Another thing I learned is that nobody grows up perfectly. Everyone makes a mistake while learning adulthood. Everyone feels lost sometimes. And honestly, many people are secretly improvising their lives while pretending to be certain externally. I also think growing up teach people how fragile life really is. Relationship change, health change, situation change unexpectedly, and honestly, realizing life is temporary change how people feel everything emotionally. Another thing about adulthood is emotional resilience. People slowly learn how to continue despite difficult emotions, despite heartbreak, stress, disappointment, failure, and honestly, emotional survival itself becomes an achievement sometimes. People also gain things. That's what I realized that growing up, that's not only losing things. Wisdom, self-awareness, strange experience, we got it all, and honestly, growth often includes both pain and beauty together. Another thing that I notice is that many people feel behind in life because they follow other people's timeline too much. But honestly, life is not a race. People grow differently, learn differently, and success differently. And honestly, comparing journeys only creates unnecessary pressure. I also think adulthood becomes healthier when a people stop expecting perfection from themselves. Nobody handles life perfectly. Everyone struggles privately sometimes. And honestly, accepting imperfection creates emotional peace. Uh, that's my video. Bye bye.